Yeah, talk about your table. Do we have a microphone? Oh, okay, we're going to start over there and we'll come back to you, Holly. JJ.
I think we know by now that I'm pretty loud spoken. So, how do you want me to approach this?
So tell us what your situation was and what you talked about.
Okay.
About a minute.
All right, we had a 13-year-old with Down syndrome who's coming to a book club, and she talks about everything but the book. So we don't believe she's actually reading the book, and she's making the other kids uncomfortable. That was our situation.
Okay.
So we talked about a lot of things. A lot of it around how can we help her read the book. Give her an audiobook, give her the movie version, give her a graphic novel, give her a reading buddy where they read back and forth. Modify the book club so that it's read a chapter per book club rather than read the entire book, depending on how big it is. We also talked about how do we make the rules clear that if you're coming to book club, you need to be talking about the book and not just about everything else. So that led to a good discussion of how do we do that universal design thing, right, of text and pictures, and what do we mean by read the book? Is it just a picture of a book? Is it the audiobook? Is it picture of book and picture of audiobook? Things like that. So that was really good. So we had a really good far-ranging discussion also about, hey, let's talk to her and ask, why isn't she reading the book? Is it because it's beyond her skill level? Is it because she's bored? Is it because she needs the audiobook and she's afraid to ask? And how would we know that unless we ask?
Because she doesn't like the book.
Right, or she doesn't like the book. So we did a lot of talking around all those concepts.
Thank you. And I think that once you engage, the individual is engaged with the book, then the other kids aren't going to be as uncomfortable because they're all there for the same thing. Over here, getting that exercise again.
Hi everybody, our table had a situation of an adult patron with autism who swore at and threatened a staff member. He did this while trying to convince the library staff to allow him to present a program at the library, and then has since contacted this librarian has since contacted a staff member, it could be a different staff member, we're not sure, to ask if he would reconsider his request in a year if he can prove he is trustworthy. So, my table is awesome. As librarians, we thought first about our policy, just making sure that we have that in place so that we can point that person to follow the procedures to present a program in the future, that all program proposals go through the same thank you process. And also that we clarify any policies so that this person understands why we have the policy in place. So going back to some of the things we've learned today and yesterday, that rules are important and understanding the rules and why. But then we also talked about how we can make, look at this on there were four principles that came up. One is following our policy, 2 is making accommodation, 3 was clarifying expectations, and 4 was looking at things on a case-by-case basis. So Rachel had this great idea that an accommodation could be, well, we've noticed that maybe the reason why this behavior issue came about, as Carrie was teaching us, because of unmet needs, communication and self-regulation. And so when this person was really upset, that's when the swearing and the threatening came about. So we just want to clarify our expectations and think about how we can accommodate then that self-regulation by maybe offering that he would do this or she would do this program by making an audio recording or making a virtual presentation of the program so that we could avoid these possible pitfalls in the future. And I think that was the gist of it, but just remembering to look at each like a case-by-case basis and trying to take the emotion out of it and address it as a whole.
You might also think in that situation about a job coach or a buddy who could work with them and help them. Yeah.
Rachel mentioned a personal librarian.
Okay, there you go, something like that. It may not work, but you do. Okay, who else wants to talk? Well, you all had lively discussions.
Who's saying?
Somebody else? Okay, thank you.
So our situation was that a young adult man with a developmental disability in his early 20s gets upset when we call him by his name. He insists that he is a woman and that we call him Shirley. Once he even covered his ears and started sobbing loudly when we called him by the name on his card. His mother says he's been doing this for years and to just ignore him. And we thought that it could have been avoided beforehand by making sure that as librarians in service, we're serving the person and not a caregiver or a parent that needs to come with them. And part of doing that was making sure that, as we've learned a lot about today, we're good communication partners. So no matter what way they express themselves, whether it's in writing, with pictures, with any form of communication, that we find some way to understand what they need, as opposed to always deferring to a caregiver or a parent who maybe communicates in the way that we prefer. And then we had some good discussion about what to do about it now. And I think the final decision was that we obviously defer to his decision or her decision to be called as they prefer. And then we have to have a conversation with mom about how we're serving that person's needs. And we can also help serve her by giving resources if she needs to learn more about this. But that we are primarily there to serve both of their needs, but we do need to defer to that preference.
Excellent. Thank you. You might also think about giving the patron some resources, giving Shirley some resources that she might need. I think that's really important. I put that one in here again. I know we're talking about, because the person does have a disability, and people with disabilities don't always get taken seriously, but also because trans people experience homelessness, trans youth experience homelessness at a much higher rate. 40% of youth who are homeless are transgender, and most of them have been thrown out of their homes. That's one problem issue, and then the other issue is that the rate of suicide is so much higher among those people. And those are things that, in very small ways, by putting the person first, dealing with the patient in front of you, we can help support them. One more, and then we have to. Are my 3 minutes in there already?
All right, so we had a case where a 9-year-old child throws a tantrum, screaming, falling on the floor, and flailing in the middle of the program every week. So first we decided we have to figure out why is the child doing this. The child verbal, nonverbal. The child is verbal. Maybe try talking to the child, ask them why they engage in this behavior. If the child is nonverbal or doesn't want to talk about it, talk to the child's caregiver, see if there's any signs or the caregiver notices anything that would, any triggers the child may have. And how does the caregiver respond to similar situations? Also, what is going on in the library during the program when it occurs? So, is it game time, story time, puppet show time the clown comes in? Does the child feel saturated? Is the program too long? What is the caregiver doing at the time? Does he bother the caregivers sleeping during that time? We also considered having a form that the caregivers could fill out for the children for programs to warn about any triggers. Also document the incidents and reports to discover patterns, triggers. And based on all of that, we can analyze the behavior, hopefully find the trigger, and institute the proper accommodation.
Great, thank you. So what you're basically doing is a functional behavioral analysis. Those of you who are school librarians. Yeah, you're trying to figure out where the behavior is coming and why. In that particular case, by the way, it was air conditioning or an HVAC thing that came on at the same time every day, and that's what triggered it. These were all real, by the way. Didn't make any of these up. They were all. Many of them came from you, from Illinois librarians, and some others from people in other parts of the country. So, we need to pull it back together now. I know the rest of you had great discussions too, because I could see it. But thank you so much. We can talk about it at lunch if you want to keep going with it or whatever. But I want to I want to leave you with some resources. Can we have the next slide? I think that's where we're going. Yes, national resources. And Local resources. Okay. ANSAN, the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network. They are self-advocates, they are vocal, they are opinionated, and they are a great resource. They're national. There is a local chapter in Chicago. I don't know about here, but they have great discussions. I've been lurking, and they know I'm lurking, so it's okay. Been lurking on a discussion about employment that's been going on and off, and about barriers in employment. And as an employer, I'm able to contribute to that from a different perspective, and it's just been a great discussion. The Mighty, and this is a website where that video came from. It talks about, has different sections, but the main one is mental health and autism. And again, these are self-advocates talking about things from their perspective and giving us support from their perspective. Can we move on? ASPLA, Association for Specialized and Cooperative Library Agencies. These cool little bags. So ASPLA is the division of ALA that has resources for serving people with disabilities in libraries. They have a toolkit, they have interest groups, including the Universal Access Interest Group, the Alzheimer's Support Interest Group, Bridging Deaf Culture, Consumer Health Information. It's an awesome division. It's the smallest division in ALA, and it's a great resource. All of their resources are free. There are guidelines on there that you have to buy, but the other things, those are formal publications. But the rest of the website is available to anyone, whether or not you're an American Library Association member or not. If you use it and you like it and it's regular, you should join. And we have really cool bags. Okay. I should do the disclaimer. I am on the board of directors now. The American Library Association in general has a lot of great resources. ODOLOS is the Office of Diversity and Library Outreach Services. ALF, the Association for Children's Librarians, sorry. They have a toolkit, special library services to special population children and their caregivers toolkit. We forgive them the poor choice of words because the toolkit is so good. They've also partnered with Disney in the Curiosity Creates grants, and there's some really great universal design stuff in there, and there's a nice film on the website about that, and they do webinars. YALSA, Young Adult Librarian Association, also has a lot of resources, and so does AASL. By the way, AASL, the American Association of School Librarians, has a killer journal. It's really one of the best library journals that we have out there. It's research-based and done by practitioners. Okay, can we have the next slide, please? What does inclusion look like? Well, this is what it looks like at my library. That first group, that's a makerspace. It's an inclusive makerspace. They are, actually, this was our unmakerspace. They were taking apart a telephone, right? And two people working together, one of them has an intellectual disability, the other doesn't. It's inclusive. The next slide on top, that's one of our read and play programs, and that's an inclusive story time for children birth to age 5, where we incorporate all the things that we've talked about here. And again, it's inclusive. It's for kids with and without disabilities. We push in a lot of sensory tools into those too. That next one, it's hard to see. They're all hard to see, sorry about that. But the next one is a Music for Autism concert. And these are autism-friendly concerts, free autism-friendly concerts held at the library. Music for Autism is a national organization, and I know that they've looked at Chicago in the past. I don't know if they're there yet. But it's the kind of thing that you can do, partner with local things. So we have food, people can get up and move around, you don't have to be quiet, people participate, and they bring world-class musicians. Itzhak Perlman has done concerts for them, Project Trio has done concerts for them. We had the cast of the Broadway show Cinderella came and did a concert. Next one over, that's Stephen. Stephen was one of my summer youth employment teens. He was paid to work at the library for 2 years. Stephen is blind. He used to go into the hospitals and read to kids. He did a lot of office work for us. He organized our audio files, cassettes and things. That was way back when we had those. And then he went to Harvard, so we lost him. Over here, that's our gardening program. This is one of the best things we do because it's easiest to push in all those ways of learning into that. Again, you have two kids working together, one is deaf and the other isn't. You can see it when the picture is close up, you can see the age. And that last one, that's our adaptive gaming program, which is one of the most popular things we do. It's for teenagers. It's an adaptive gaming arcade, and we have some specialized equipment, and kids come in and game. We have a kid, a gamer, he's a regular gamer. He struggled with gaming until he came to the library because he has physical disabilities. And he uses a wheelchair. He has very little voluntary motion. But we got him rumble, rumble switches. So these are sort of standard things that OTs use in other realms, but we brought them into gaming. We put a rumble switch here because he had a muscle he could flex there. We put a rumble switch here because he had another one, muscle there, and one on his thigh. And using those three switches, he could play Grand Theft Auto. Sorry, not my first choice, but it was his first choice. He could play Grand Theft Auto and Minecraft. And it was just really awesome. And he got, because he was also deaf, he got the tactile feedback from the rumble switches. Okay, so we've moved into, that takes me to teens, and then we're also working with young adults. So we're doing a conference on self-advocacy on Monday as soon as I get back. I'm a little anxious about that since I'm not there to troubleshoot. But we have a panel of self-advocates from all over, one from the mental health field, one from ANSAN, Autistic Self-Advocacy Network, one from foster care, and totally blanking out. Oh, the other one has an intellectual disability. And I want to address something that came up yesterday. Oh, collections. Kids need to see books about themselves in our collections. Everybody knows, and so do adults, by the way. Everybody knows we need diverse books now, right? We need diverse books now and more. And because we need books that show multiple diversities, right? For years, the only books I've been able to find with pictures of kids with disabilities are all white with blonde hair and blue eyes. Really? Really? Yeah, sorry. So I'm being sarcastic as New Yorkers, we do that. Now we're beginning to see some. My brother Charlie, and I'm blanking on the author's name, is a nice one, and there's some others. And that's actually written by a girl whose brother has autism. They're African American, and it's a great book. And now they've grown up and it's gotten a little older. So there's beginning to be some stuff out there, but please keep that in mind, right? People with disabilities come from every religious group, every ethnic background. They speak every language. They look like anybody that you see. And what am I missing? And as I said earlier, they represent all parts of the LGBTQIA community. So remember that. And keep that in mind about your other groups too, our other diversities, right? Hispanics can be gay, and and Muslims can have disabilities. I mean, it's just, there's so much overlap, and intersectionality is a word I hate, but we need to look at it because we do not all live in silos. And somebody yesterday talked about silos, and somebody asked me, didn't understand what a silo was. A silo is one group over here doing all the same things. So we've got corn in this silo. There comes to actually an agricultural metaphor. We've got corn in this silo, and wheat in this silo, and oats in this silo, and we never mix it up for a multigrain cereal. So I wanted to talk about that. And the other thing I wanted to follow up from yesterday, two other things. Okay, real quick. Choices. Start early, right? It's not just asking a teenager what class he wants to take or whatever. It's asking a 6-month-old baby to choose between two books by following their eye gaze if they're not verbal, right? It's asking an 18-month-old whether they want a red Band-Aid or a blue Band-Aid. Learning to make choices starts when children are very young. And children with disabilities don't get the chance to make choices, they don't get the chance to fail, and we need to help them do that. If you don't fail, you don't learn to be resilient. And then the what's wrong with me. We talked about, when do we tell kids they have a disability? We don't have to tell them that they have a disability. They know they have a disability. They know there's something wrong with them, they don't know what it is, and they're thinking of it that way wrong because we don't talk about it, because they don't see themselves reflected in our books, right? Because we don't have those high expectations for them. One of the programs we do is we go to hospitals and we read to kids. This is my last story, I promise. We go to hospitals and we read to kids. And Andre and I were there one day, and there was this girl in a wheelchair following us from room to room, bed to bed, and listening to all our stories. And as we were leaving, she said, "Oh, well, thank you so much. It was really nice because I'm going to have my leg cut off tomorrow. And I really enjoyed the stories." And it didn't look like that kind of a situation to Andre and I. Neither one of us are medical professionals, but we've been around a lot of hospitals over the years. So we went to the nursing station and said, "Has anybody talked to her about what's going to happen to her? Because she thinks her leg's going to be cut off tomorrow." She was having an abscess drain that had gotten infected. She thought they were cutting off her leg because nobody talked to her about what was going on. So our kids, when we're not talking to them about their disabilities, they're making it much worse. They're imagining things that we can't imagine, horrible things about themselves, because we're not willing to tell them the truth or let them know what's going on. I talked to a woman, I knew a woman who had a cleft lip and palate, so she had scars like this on her face. It was obvious. She was a beautiful woman, and she had these scars. Her parents had dropped her off at the hospital and picked her up at the hospital a week later, and they never once said a word about what happened to her there. And she was an adult before she did. When we do that to children, we do it in little ways all the time. We don't talk about their disability, right? We don't answer the questions that we get asked about it. And because of that, we make it worse. I'm not hesitating to use worse because I don't necessarily think that disability is a bad thing. Yes, it's difficult, we struggle with it, but in and of itself it's not a bad thing. The bad thing is that interface with society. But when kids don't know, they make up worse things. They make it worse, they catastrophize. And talking to them about it helps them prevent them from doing it. And it helps make them better self-advocates in the long run. So please, keep that in mind. I am out of time. I think I don't have time for questions. I will, right? Yeah, I will stay here. I'm not going anywhere. And I'm happy to answer your questions. Thank you for your patience.
Carrie, thank you.
You're welcome.